Yellow prayer book, page 6. Ram jam so sheng jor pe so ma lu lo ye lang de ber la na ten ye zhou gu tu jie song de so da le long juan do ba jian jie tang Pong kan jian jie de ma jie da de zong wen gu bo zhe zhe gong ber jie dan zhen xie wa xian jie lo Mơ tăng mơ men tha le yong zhe xian jian ga ne zhou wong ta jie jie men jian nen de ne lo men zhe jiu per ve san jie to ba
An infinite array of worlds, each with 4 continents and the wealth of infinite oceans of realms. If I bring them all to mind and offer them without exception, please hold with compassion all the beings they contain. My body, enjoyments, and whatever I own, my aggregates, elements, and sense sources, my aspirations now and in times to come, as well as everything I grasp as mine. By offering them all, may I be blessed with the end of self-grasping. Completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal, transcending the names and attributes of arising, cessation and abiding, coming and going, affirmation and denial, the supreme mandala is the natural state. When I offer it, bless me to attain this state of Buddhahood.
Om Guru Deva Jai Kena Rename Patita Sova. Page 11. Sem Jia Nam Jia Sam Ba Ta Lo Ye Se Ra Jie Ta Wa Jie Chong Tu Mon Te Ba Ye Chu Jian Ko Lo Gu De Su.
Please turn the wheel of Dharma of the greater, lesser, and common vehicles according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
System the lion that you can see in your top may pong shiver jail or so simply on the Dajina. Lamba Shukin to start the so Gombo to Jimba, Tamjim Batumba. So now you did jump to get the ginger or Santa Ro. Tapato Chatter giving his so retro can get the tone them torture by Ginger Chula Santa Ro. Drawn it over Lamiaton. Flapata, rap the crew. Shingasan by your day, get in Loyal Salo. Everybody sang, or ready the leg. Three, Tam Chig, the town, Tar Kava, Nabja Tamatikava, the point so good that I think that Sanjig and Sabona Tele, the Kapaya Pocha, the Yuri, Sanjig Timba, Yazir and Joy, Simtig, the three, Shirk Compel and Joy, Mambo Mambo, Flapper, legible legitima, double in a mambo chakari, Jumdega Maxiri, there is a pick up as some more, there is a study direction.
So nowadays, everyone, a lot of people are saying that we are in this degenerate time, in this final 500 years, and that is a very dark age, where we see that that the teachings decline and so forth. But actually, it's not quite true because when we look at the world, actually, this is a very good time and age, a good aeon, because actually it is a time where the Buddha's teachings are increasing, and it is a time where the wisdom, intelligence of sentient beings is also increasing greatly, and therefore also their trust in karma is growing stronger. Beings' eyes are opening to the workings of karma. So therefore, in that sense, that is actually a very auspicious aeon. So Tashidelic.
There are things Sadi, Kashi, that's the Gangi. I think Lam Yung Di, the Dang Yung Di, Consortium Yung Di, Mambo Juku already. She don't sung man that Tamji, and just in Barredi, Lai Shiva thing already. You see, you think Kakari, the read that's her Kashi Yung though. They young, they got me out of the man, no trouble charity. The indeed number Sanjay by Chulatani, there is Sanjay in a Sanjay, go song talk Yung Di. The Sanjay Yung Di some chapter, the Sanjay de la Jap zone, the Dani zone, the Sanjay compound Matabar, Ribetawan Theta Muna Tuki Muna, Double Sancho, double Jap, the same thing that the major Totava. That's Sanjay Yung Di Mambo Song. 참이 고요래데 주종 정말 답제데 용띠는 틀레데 용띠데 답보자는 벤데 베토고 요래 남들이는 대삼지 벤인 체 벤데 주종 정말 답제 송접제게 요래 될더니 서터지 때는 다 베나 사제 때마 라류 갑는 냠차 소모 지라 들이다 우리 자가를 송 자가를 양파를 들 자가를 판들이 다다야 자가라들이 대사치 뭐 카탐지 말리 저과 말리 락것들이 다대한테 찌를 이 차서 몰라 디사스 못다 요래 다 자가를 요래 대마치 세자롱마 주면서 나가탐질 주 저기 잡다봐 이 주대 주 용디데 대레 대참에 하거나 대 자자게 그마 렉시는 송차라에 매네 카 터더 카티나 매지기는 봐봐 동송 매같이 말카티나 매지기는 봐봐 동송 매 양발체로 그렇지 매같이 섬나 들이 데르 마체들이 돈바 보일라 와서 매털 카범나 돈바 보 매털 카범나 라고인들이 와서 도레시 줄라去了多了嘞，我做什么对不？他这对吧了多了钱呢？让人那个嘞是对送油送出来嘞，对他这对呢，他我做什么对吧的？他这有那的，他看了头的对下红个嘞，对我给他做总之就是小个样子。
And so then now also nowadays some people hold the following view. So we speak a lot about the qualities of the guru and the qualities of the yidam, and the qualities of the three jewels. And then they see those protectors as worldly beings, and they say that it's better to rely on the wisdom beings and not the worldly beings. And so with that, they believe that the worldly, these protectors and the wisdom beings, the deities, are separate. And so from the perspective of practice, well beyond the path, that view is mistaken. So, sorry. When we speak about the Buddha, we say that the Buddha has different aspects. So the Buddha possesses an enlightened mind, body, speech, mind, qualities and activities. And so these are all the qualities of the Buddha. And that is why we say the Buddha's qualities are inconceivable. And when we take refuge in the Buddha, we will never abandon beings. We will never be abandoned until attaining enlightenment. So the three jewels will never abandon you. And that was the compassionate aspiration of the Buddha. In the beginning, that was his motivation when he first cultivated bodhicitta. It is to ripen and liberate all sentient beings and to never forsake them. So these are the qualities of the Buddha that most people know about. And then about the Dharma protectors. The Dharma protectors are actually the aspects of the Buddha's enlightened activities and the qualities. And we need those aspects in order to to propagate the teachings in the world. So the teachings are really spread through those enlightened activities. And that is the aspect of the Dharma protectors. They protect the teachings in this way. And so outwardly looking, it may seem that we are in a time where the Buddha's teachings are declining because there are a lot of really kind of barbarian, coarse views emerging in the world. So there seems to be a decline. But then when we actually look at it, for example, through that attack on the Buddha's teachings, then the Dharma then traveled from Tibet to India. So it was shifted to India, and then it rose again. And then even greater. There are so many monasteries now established in India. And actually, now there are even more than before. One monastery became two and so forth. And then after that, they have also spread throughout the Western countries. So actually, the Dharma was able to spread through that decline. And that's also a quality of the Dharma that we all should know about. In the excellent words of advice of the Sakya, so it says that so if you keep adding fuel to the fire will just grow stronger and stronger. And so what he meant is that when we now compare that fire, this quality of fueling fire to the Buddha's teachings. So normally, when the fire analogy is used because when we burn fire, then we can burn our hand in there. We can get burned in there, and so there can be destruction. But then, as what this verse really implies is that anyone who tries to destroy or harm the teachings is actually just harming themselves. So you're really just burning your own hand by doing that, by making the fire just grow stronger and stronger. And so you can say that now the teachings are actually flourishing more. And so this is one thing I will speak about today. And so it is about what it is, what this flourishing of the teachings of the three jewels and the long endurance of the three jewels, what that really depends on, what that really comes down to. So?
야가lum만이 때마냠자 망고 송을 타고 때마 달 아르 그 양들이 따이 때마다 놀더러 다가 빠르더니 팬들 망고 송은 타속돼야 그다 야지 죽었다 야제로한테 가이들이 제도 전하더니 나니 동대 사제 때문에 힘보다 가래를 해들 오 샘데 요리 대화단 댐버 탑 동네도 잘 탑 임베 그리 대만 도바다 동네만 도바다 탐제일에 시합 대중마도 다 시합 치렀더니 띠지 대화도 사제지 고마 시합 대화 탐제 띠지 개와 좀 다 사제 고마 토건도 자 내가 그 대마야 같이 시합 통 소리게 대화 좀 요래 대르면 고로 심지 답지게 다다랑들이 그 제도 찍고서 못하네 고로 대화 좀 요래 대 답지에 강의들이 자세히 라리나서 수점 대화 짜지실 봐야지 유담적인 이제 붙이지서 고로 대화 답지는 이제 마다 봐 또 많이 다음에 봐 행복해야 되레스 제 말을 배서 코르스와 행복해지 코르스와 행복은 남도에서 남도 기저에서 코와 남도 뭐 소요에서 코르스와 대도서 대대 심지 접지 되는 접지 되는 딱 코와는 종을 코와의 종을 대기 보라 다 담배 쳐야 오래 코와당 냐데 니가 사대 사제는 코와이 반에 강례들 대 사제양 세월에 세지양 세지과 사제 세진이 찍어야 돼 사제가 된 진리들이 탐색지 마들 사제게 자발이 사제 심진이 개발된 진 이저들이 다다 대외교다 동안에 있지 내가 동안에 나왔다 다도 사제지 고마도 봐 람때 람상보 람도와메 바이면 그 사제 때마다 남양들이 몇번 좋다고 요 말에 야지는 요래 대들이 쌈매가 되나 살이 되나 배롱 탐제를 되나 자가는 보는 데가 다가다 하고 담보냠 자가리 송 로지트니 다 가리나 그네 발당 다다 대처 가리 뒤들 상로도 하고 그래 시고 말에 시는 가지 보러 그래 뒤들 상로도 들이 이치지 대바데 들이 온건 설이 들이 이치죠 산제 때마다 답이 다시보리 산들이랑 게 나와줘 매봐요 그래 들이 이치는 들이랑 뒤서 좋으나 들이랑 들이 이치지 대바데 들이 다들 대바데 들이랑 타바시데 톱 내가 라동을 사지 고막 톱 이동을 고왔더니甚至 대단 팽을 랑라 팽바다 얘는 대별 남데 사지 남데 때
And so then, one second. Yeah, and so now, so the Buddhist teachings, as we have seen throughout history, went through various phases of increase and decline. And so when we think about how the Buddha's teachings declined and increased again, then by reflecting on that, we develop faith in the teachings and trust. So a trusting faith and a clear faith arises in us. And we understand that the three jewels, the Buddha is so powerful, the teachings are so powerful. No matter how much they are, people have tried to destroy them, and they would flourish even more. So we just need to see what happened in the past in history, how often, even just back in India and in the past, how often the teachings have declined and then flourished again, even stronger. So in brief, there have been many ups and downs for the Buddhist teachings, and yet they always continue to thrive even more. And so we need to know why. and what is the essence of those teachings. So in the teachings, the Buddha says that so all sentient beings have a mind, and whoever has a mind has a method, has the potential to achieve happiness, to be happy. And they have a method to be free from suffering. And everyone wants that. All beings want happiness and they do not want suffering. And that is achieved just in to different degrees, depending on the intelligence, the wisdom of sentient beings. So there are some who have greater wisdom, and they are able to attain more happiness and ultimately reach enlightenment. And then there is some with lesser wisdom, but even they can still accomplish at least some happiness, some temporary, mundane happiness. They can accomplish that. They accomplish that because they have this wisdom, they have intelligence. And so even if one is just a samsaric sentient being who only cares about this life, they are able to achieve some happiness because they are intelligent. They're able to do that. But then that happiness is impermanent. In the 37 practices, it says the happiness of the higher realms is like a dewdrop on the tip of a blade of grass, vanishing in a single moment. So ultimately, that happiness has no essence, that samsaric happiness, because it is impermanent. And Milarepa also said that he said that that is why samsaric mundane activities have no essence, and but that is mainly because samsara is created by one's thoughts. So we have by discursive thoughts create our samsaric existence, and that is a confused state of mind, a state of delusion. And so from that state of delusion in the mind of sentient beings, samsara arises. And the antidote to that delusion is the Dharma. And so that is how we need to understand existence. So we speak about samsara and nirvana, and where they both meet, the common ground of samsara and nirvana is that they are mind, samsara, nirvana, both. And that is what the Buddha had seen. The Buddha saw that the Buddha's mind and all sentient beings' mind is the same in essence. So he saw whether or not there actually is a difference, and he saw that there is no difference between Buddhas and sentient beings. And he also saw the cause of happiness and the cause of suffering. And therefore, he saw the path that leads away from suffering to liberation and ultimate enlightenment. And so, because of that wisdom, this omniscient wisdom of the Buddha, that gives his teachings their power. And therefore, those teachings can never truly be destroyed, and they will always continue to flourish. Even though outwardly looking, it may seem that they are declining. But actually, if we just look at various examples from history, we can see that that's not the case. We just need to look at what happened in Tibet and then after that in India, how it seemed that the teachings first declined and were under attack, but then now how are they now? How are they flourishing now all over the world? So actually there is no need to even talk about that. And actually if we talk about it too much, somebody may feel offended. But without even needing to talk about that, we just need to look around and then we will just see very clearly that that is the case. And so, therefore, seeing that faith in the teachings should arise, a trusting faith. And that trusting faith knows how precious the Buddha's teachings are. It understands the qualities of the Buddha's teachings. And then from that trust in the teachings arises an inspiration, a longing faith, a wanting to attain enlightenment. And that longing comes from knowing that attaining enlightenment will lead to, first of all, one's own benefit. One reaches enlightenment, and it also leads to the benefit of others. One then can actually work to benefit sentient beings. So essentially, the Buddhist path is the path that benefits yourself and that brings happiness to others. So?
대 망세가 하고 요 말이 가시가 대 하고는 다대 대 이시바리 대 직대 바리 다 제가는 뭐대 남전만 보여야 돼 이제 매제 강이 되네 숨마 사직은 틀레로 바리 맞지 얘네들이 사직을 송톡 용된 틀레도 다들 맞지 내가 내가들 용대 그들이 용띠 제보나 들면들이 같이 오제도고요 망고제도고 배도 용띠 틀레데 좋아라더니 수용성 담지 임말에 되게 되니까 틀레 가래 좋고요 되는 다사다는 다사다 아까 공시 받던 답은 통치서 줘봐 문에 사제 때만들 마요 말이 밤들이 요 말이 대신송야 요 말이 서른들은 남을 잡다 오래더니 들이 차디오래 들이 용띠 들이 지겠대봐 난 달라들이다 그래서 가자 레레나더니 기와니 체험이 다 받더니 랑게데 상촉 정보를 지게 받아서 상마제 사지에 공 맡아고 받아 속속지니 들이 짜지 모래 들이 이제 차례들이 여철만 보다고 자니 되들이 상촉 받아 송좀 전례도 가 그때 디바시나 가예 일라트 바삼지장 드버로 소원데 바에 소마 이비노 치 남제 다그사 노만도 봐서 디바테레 대제직 된송군 제바 다들 저 망복된 거래 책임마다 요만에 대송마 삼세르야 저거에 손주지 바래
And so then, so sorry. And so now most people know there's something that most people don't. That's one thing that most people don't know, and maybe some do know it, but many people don't know is that when they believe that this is a wisdom being and this is a worldly being, so that's actually just their perception of things. But in actuality, these protectors that they call worldly beings are also a display of the Buddha's enlightened activities. As we said, the Buddha possesses enlightened body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities. And it is just like a person who is very successful in whatever they do. They are successful because they have all these qualities. They can do a lot of things because of the power of their activities. And so the Dharma protectors are the enlightened activities of the Buddhas. And so what activities do they accomplish? So, and we look at it from an external perspective in the world. So the Buddha's teachings have no army, no wealth, no atomic weapons, and yet they prevail everywhere in the world. We can see that, and when we see that, faith, belief in the teachings arises. And then inwardly looking, these protectors will not, and all the three jewels, they will always be with you. They are there to protect from now on throughout all lifetimes and until attaining enlightenment. They will always protect me. So through these activities, and so that is why they are so precious. The jewels will care for us for many lifetimes until attaining enlightenment. And so that is why in this praise, a supplication composed by Jigten Somgön to the protectors, where we say, by the power of having made these various offerings and mending rites towards these Dharma protectors, and so forth, may and by the power of confessing faults, may the teachings of the Kagyu, the Drikung Kagyu, and the Buddha's teachings increase, and may the master's lifespan be long. That's all.
Rinpoche Tamchen Tong Hom 다들이 막 양초가 안 거래들이 나는 가만히 대토 요만에 들이 속한 용용들 거기도 없어. 들이 거기서 들이 마르치지 있어. 들이 나를 뭐지 뭐 나게 지금 잡는데 뒤 들이 강산으로 삼아고 저 들이 가는 게 요거도 뒤 빨라게 출마듯이 배가 접다는 것들 좀 며칠이 차서 들이 학장을 들어야 돼. 다때 인지부지 주지로서들이 내가 속하듯 주아에 두바리들이 다들이 이네 가야 시험이돼. 아파트가 제잘면 돼. 대ten 공다 배서지 다친 렉서 시험만 도서 때려서 말이. 그때 다 남이 좀 답지 답되오나. 그때 안 제시되잖아. 로바다지 레와체도 대인의 시장을 그때 속한 찾았다면 누바데 가리리 땅문이잖아. 땅송 로니 셔서로 참송에 참송 공부 배차탐지 미라다 다시 공말에 참마도 그도 공부 포라가 문제야 매와 차송인데 옛날 난그 구성도기 짜 제시 탐지 진조조고 자나마 쪼요에 드니 나다 양게 때만 그리고 그찹 짜치 뭐요리 드리 조고 자나마 요리 드리트든 잡아시 지샤탄 때라서 봐 그런 쯤에 샤탄 거래 따들이 드리트다 소다 잡게 땡땡들이 땡땡들 나치 자오게 배다치 못 나게 가공 땡땡들 자치 못 나게 로중에 미시데 데리 따따다 때 동안 동체 자기인 탐지게送了 디자 나베 투체는 소미 송요레치 되게들이 따따다 나가 다토리야 랑 대체 잡아낸 거예요. 토다 땡땡나 받던 거요래. 깨체 받지지 요래 뭐야. 다 로지 본거 요래. 대체다 다 잘라 탐지 말레바 당냠데 람지 그 참을래서 고만나나. 잘라 먹을래서 대답제 매요래. 다 체슈데들이 마늘어데 드티다 때라도 와서 랩송. 대체다 우리 소문 잘래래샤지. 들이 대마 제랑 조강난 로를 가느냐 다랑 겔들이 강이 지체 담지가 매와 차배 되고 비 매로 받아지 때 소화될 레비오에 정무용지 망고 줘야 주야요 말다세 뒤담지 용지진이 들이 로마 담지 계속나데 따이나 야고도 들이 소카드 저 디바 책 대제에서 다 소카 그런 주다샤주 도통마송 디는들이 힘본다고서 상황소답때 바치 갈로가 고보 무슨 차지지 송하지 좀 조금 바롱 섬기다 자지 마서 그래 고보데 대담지 송마 로바상들 로야 야요 세계대 로로 삼이 자지 마서 그래 라는 걸 로를 가르치지 대 로되게 시해요 내가 되자리디 난 로마탐지 딱 말티야 왔다지 대지 우진 대시에 자고지 대가 야도 내가 그때 아니요 자신한테 대시를 맞이 쇼고를 대가들이 딱 소막을 로지시는 사상상섭 때는 소막을 요티 저도 누가 대답이 하고 그래 대하고들이 저게 때문에 잘라들 하고서 그래 내가 좋아해야지
Yeah, and so then now going back to about 1958 or 9, our monastery was completely demolished, and we had to leave the monastery. It was under attack, and so at that time I was together with the previous incarnation of Namdo Rinpoche, and so he said that if we need to go, we have to uh, entrust it all to leave it up all up to the protectors, and we have to make offerings to them and practice the protector offering, the sorka, each and every day. It's quite a lengthy practice though, and during that time we didn't really have the time to do the practice, and we couldn't just stay at home and sit and do the practice. We had to go and fight in the army actually. And so I felt what was really needed at that time was a very short protector offering practice that we could memorize, and then could just practice on the go. And so that's why I asked Rinpoche at that time that, no, this is what we really need. And also my father actually had said before that, so because of it being so lengthy, and you're not being able to always do the practice, then the practice becomes something that you never accomplish. So I thought it would be helpful to write a brief Dharma protector offering. And so then he agreed to that, and I wrote that down. And actually, I don't really have much learning, but I just wrote that down, compiled that, and then I showed it to him, and he approved of that. And he said it is fine. That there's nothing wrong with it. It's good practice. And so then we use that for the practice, and so now that also makes it for practitioners now a simple way to make an offering, Sorka practice to the protectors. And so now I'm going to explain that a bit, because disciples have requested some teachings, some explanation on that. And what I want to talk about is what is the power and the benefits of making these offerings to the protectors, or practicing the Sorka. So when I left the monastery, I was then separated from the monastery for 20 years, and the monastery was completely destroyed at that time, and all of the monasteries were, not even their names really remained at that time. However, for our monastery, there were some very precious and holy objects that we were actually able to preserve, even though everything else was completely destroyed, and that in itself was quite incredible. So what we were able to preserve was the Gyanarma prayer wheel, and that is where our blessing balm comes from. And then also some scriptures of the Ngadak Yang Dharma, and from within that there was a Guru Rinpoche, the Guchab Guru Rinpoche practice, and Chichap. And then we also preserved the Yamantaka Tanka, and then a Tanka of the 8 manifestations of Guru Rinpoche. And then also there was this one thing that also was preserved, and what I want to spread was this sound. The ding ding sound that we hear in the beginning of the teachings, right? So that actually was a singing bowl or something, So that sound that we hear in the beginning, that came from the Nangjin king, and he regarded that as very precious. And I don't know the exact story behind it, but I do know that it is said that when whoever hears this sound will not be reborn in the lower realms. And that is why I want everyone to hear it. And I have it broadcasted also online before we start with our teaching, so that everyone can hear it, everyone in the world can hear it. And so now all of the things that were preserved, that we just mentioned, they all so naturally returned, and actually many of them also came here just naturally, spontaneously. they were all united again. And so some of the most important objects are the mani pills, the blessing pills, and the balm from the Yanama, and then also many other images and representations of the enlightened form. And so all of that, also them and their coming here and so on, all of that is true enlightened activity. And also when I was in prison, even though there was much external hardship, I also didn't experience it that way. And it was because I have had these practices that I have had memorized. And so anyways, there's this short, I made this card for you, like a prayer card with a short like Dharma offering for the Dharma protectors, a Soka offering. And the essence of that is a supplication, a secret supplication. And it is considered very precious in the various regions and monasteries in Tibet, in the different lineages, especially in the Drikung, Drukpa, and Balong lineages. And so anyways, you will get that later. I've printed that for you, and that is the practice that I had memorized and I would want to share with you. And that was requested of me. Disciples who love me very much asked me to please explain that more. And so that is what I'm going to do over the next few days. I will explain this more. And I will explain in like the general meaning of a protector practice and its outer, inner, and secret aspects, and how we should understand the qualities and the power of the protector's enlightened activities. And so I believe that this will be of great benefit, and so that is why I will share that as best I can. So.
There are things that so logical and generally say, oh, there are some ideas, they Sunday. Upper there are some logical and generally, some ideas by Joey, they were any, that's also wrong, doing some tongue. Oh, that, Kang Song Kang Rena, Chijit Sawakari, Jena Yantini, Rangla. Shirapta yonti nepa panjo kanyang mena yang kalso chileka teta sibikachen no ran suje leka de palamdo wa de chado de kare de sidong som ka de re de samuti de kare de chidong ma jo ta inje kiba mai de custom gana saje custom ne triple chongre de summa de triple right 강나 강들 때를 때도 봐서는 설마다 제저 당에 다소카 되자리 이제 나가 되는데 말이다 다소카 되자리 되주다가 송자치 머리 비 아마타바 데르드니 사와서들 돼요 대탑제 약고 땅들이 대저를 대같이 알지 디바톤도 올라타나 저거를 라마 고만을 배송해서 사람 치와리 또 치와리 탐지 대토론 거래지 대가리 아니마 가시는데 지금도 세까지 쇼고송 늘 가시 시에도 시원해.
And so the reason I'm basing the teachings also on my own experience is because when I show it from the perspective of my own experience, then it's also easier for people to trust in it more because it's a real, true story. So these are things that have really happened. And then when we think that, okay, this is what really happened, this is a real story, then it's easier for us to trust that this is what can really happen. And that is why I explain it from the perspective of my own experiences. And so now for myself and my own experience, wherever I've gone, whatever I have done, whether it was mundane activity or a dharma activity, so whatever I have ever done, I've never actually felt that I have many great qualities or great wisdom or great power or great wealth. I have none of that. But even though I'm just like a little like insect, I'm not really being able to do anything. Still, I've had some successes arising, coming up. And I do believe that this is the kindness of the protectors. This is due to the power of the protectors. So the protectors are by no means worldly beings. And of the three kayas of the Buddha, they are the Nirmanakaya aspect. And it is said that the Nirmanakaya aspect benefits beings, tames beings according to their needs. And so, anyways, this is what I want to share with you over the next few days, the meaning of this short Sorka protector practice for the protectors, the offering for the protectors. And so also we should know that I have compiled that and put that together in this way for my disciples, but I'm not the actual like author of that. It comes from the Gong Chudak, and his words are truly very precious. I've just compiled that together, and it also contains beyond the offering practice, it also contains the secret supplication. So it's really an excellent practice for you. And it's something that if you want to, anyone can actually do. And it is, because whatever the past lamas like Chudak and so on have taught, these teachings on the written works from these lamas are really very precious and very powerful. And that is why we should keep these words in mind. And so it was requested of me to explain the meaning of this short Sorka practice. So this is what I'm going to do over the next few days. I will explain, go through the words word by word, and will explain the meaning. So.
Chulam tabja kosamna yiram konde yiwa kosam ko longde yu song re song yu na teri so to yi ge ma song ba de ran libje ge yang che che song de 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 ge mi shi ba de o de ni song su be do jia yi ji da ge song su na ma jie mo na de ke yo cha me de ni song su de zhe ge le xia shang de nga ge sa ma de ga le xie dang ge zhe ge nya ba le sen na ge zhe ge ye da le तबक टक थोड़े दे तेया ते संसो ने कब तब में थी दबाते माता का बात थी के वाले में यहां तक पर देखे यो मैं कसो ले जो संसो ने तेरे को देखे किंबो दे जवा यो मैं थाटो तो सो ते ngasa mare de जग बेरे यो ले यो ले में सोचे ते no संसो tamji to ko chulum tamji ko sam na ji na aso de o ge संसो de to ko he sa संसो yo mo ra ra ko ka so pero to de o to de se da to ko he te pe te na ye char so de la gemo que sa ya wo
So it is said that all phenomena have the nature of the three kayas, and that samsara and nirvana abide in the vast expanse of the three kayas. And so reflecting on that, I actually came up with a thought that maybe not everyone would agree with, and I've really not seen other people speak about that. And I'm also not sure if it's whether it's really appropriate, but to think that way. But this is what I thought, reflecting on that fact that it is said all phenomena have the nature of the three kayas. So what I thought is that so some people, most people, they consider the lower realms, the three lower realms, as something very bad. They don't want to be born there, and they all pray not to be born in the three lower realms. And I actually thought that actually the lower realms, the beings in the lower realms are all turkos. They're all nirmanakayas. So the hell beings are the turkos, the nirmanakayas of anger. And the hungry spirits are the turkos of greed. And the animals are the turkus or the nirmanakayas of ignorance. So it is just temporarily that they are in that state until their negative karma has become purified. But they will not always be in that state. So that state in those lower realms is not what they are, not a fixed state. Whenever their karma of birth in that state becomes purified, they again are liberated. And meanwhile, their Buddha nature has never changed. It still is as it is. So that is why I thought that the beings in the lower realms really are also part of the three kayas. They are turkus, because every phenomenon has the nature of the three kayas. So since that is true, I thought that so then the beings in the lower realms are also manifestations of those three kayas. And so that is why, for example, when I look at a snake, I see it as a turku, as a nirmana kaya manifestation of hatred. Maybe that was just one thought, and maybe it makes you laugh.
You bought chocolate, so come to chocolate. I know the Tata ni chong sum na machi monam jakerde. Ni chong sum na machi le chu Shetang ma se ba de nya wa na zo go le. Shetang te ma da ba de tang ma zo go le. Kin se na ta o de ma da ba mi ju ta ko che go le. Shetang me le chu nya wa na do de go ma le. Jo to le de jo le do. To de jo ta ta ba jo che sum. Devata Devi Jati Samte Samte una ta Parad Sabato you charge Jambatu Batoni, passing stroke. Oh, me the passing stroke rate. Oh, new what talk the me the passing stroke rate. That is also the me Pisarito. Men count our some Ragatin or some song. These are just drawing down charters in my boy. The Tati, the Cabratini. Isilamanga injection to the catches the shiori. They can't do that. So down thing to the court Toma Mebane, Tang so Conta may be called on the Dari. They do the Tachimore, do the Tachimore, Nepal, the check and do the Apostle. The only thing they can't check on the two with Yami Checo, do so what a big now. They can need a two and Tonji and make it. Dinang Devati Wahakori, Degi Shilama Dinti, Tilomati to Gawai. I took a peon, Rabram, they say already. How does the mother Hako Yomai? Then they got you the Tamiti. They do the Tato the draw dirty, do the Tondati. They were told in distance to work. Kusala Toto that Dashikori. Oh, and Yamiti and two Mambona, Kusala Toto, Yamiti and Dego, Sally. They do Hako me. Tanga to what I said got that every. She took at it, you there are two catches how much I shot them. Baby, my chamber, you read. Very much of them. Pochi Jagani, Bolangeli, Chumambo, you race. Pochi Jalangeli, Malabu, two in your Jagan, Bolangeli, two in your much of them, Pochi Jalanjo, Cobo Samsung, there is only the Alcohol. Greatly Yapotanteri, that there be bottom de Tugichi, Taja Kalijo Watamjege, that Junichi the Beta Chimbori, or Deretanatri, call a Talgon, Chulati the Talgore, or Terite, Tamsi Tugichi, three lost at rice, there is some much Mambo person, there is a miss or Jat to Atrici, Hawk Shoe, there's some miss with that.
And so the six afflictive emotions are like six kinds of prisons. And so now normally we pray not to be born in the three lower realms. And however, if you don't want to be born in the lower realms, still until your anger is exhausted, you will have to experience the hell realm. You have to purify it. It has to become purified. It is just like, for example, when you have a disease like cancer, you need medical treatment to heal, to cure it. So you need to undergo some treatment, and that is the hell realm. The hell realm is much like a hospital where you are treated and purify and heal that disease of the afflictive emotions. And so that is the essence of saying, may beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And may they have happiness and the causes of happiness. So the cause of happiness is love, loving kindness. If you just have love, then you will naturally have the 6 parameters of ethical discipline, patience, generosity, ethical discipline, patience, diligence, meditation, and wisdom. If you have love, then these 6 parameters arise naturally. So the medicine that heals the disease of the 6 afflictions are the 6 parameters, and the 6 parameters arise from love. So the lower realms are really just like a hospital. This is how I see it. And that's a topic that you can also discuss with each other. There's a lot to talk about regarding that. And then also, now for our next teachings, I have invited Yeshe Lama here to give a teaching on chut. And so chut literally means to cut. So the meaning of chut is to cut through self-grasping. And that is this cause of suffering that we have brought with us since time without beginning in samsara. And since the chut practice cuts through that directly, the chut teachings are actually extremely precious. And in fact, my own father also was a chut practitioner. His father was a chut practitioner in his whole life, and he was very respected for that. So for this reason, Yeshe Lama also knows much about the chut practice, and I have invited him and asked him to teach on chut, because I myself do not know all the details, of the chut practice. I just know kind of roughly what it is about. I can give you an outline, but he can really teach on that topic in much greater depth. And so therefore, I encourage you all to listen to it well. So then the ultimate essence of the chut is in the practice of Jigten Sungren's Kusali chut, the Kusali feast offering. And that is very concise practice of chut. And of course, there are many practices that one could do, but if you just understand the Kusali chut practice, that is actually enough. There's no need to have large volumes of text. Of course, if you know them and have them, that's fine, but you don't actually need them. Or if you just understand and practice the Kusali chut, then that is really all you need. And then another special quality about chut is its origin. So it traces back to Majik Labdrön in Tibet. And what is special about it is that most of the teachings came from India to Tibet. So they have been translated from the Indian language into Tibetan, and not the other way around. That time, there haven't been any teachings that came from Tibet to India, but chut was the one teaching that was brought from Tibet to India. So Majik Labdrön brought it from Tibet to India and had that then translated into Indian languages. And so there are many various lineages that then sprung from it. I've heard that there is maybe hundreds of different traditions that sprung from it then in India. But in any case, this is what the teachings are going to be about. And thank you all for listening and coming to the teachings. And also you who are online, you all understand how precious the Dharma is, which is why you listen to the teachings. And so really, if we want to be free from samsara, then the true teachings are really very beneficial because they cut through the root of samsara. So I'm grateful that you all came. A lot of you came this year here and also online. And I wish you all a happy new year. And now we take a little break. And the break times you can also use to ask questions.
Thank you. Our next session with Lama Yeshe will begin at 2 p.m.